All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's Time of Power. So the first story that I have for you guys is about Frank McGrath leaving Animal. So in my opinion, I think Frank McGrath is one of the most iconic bodybuilders that was ever signed with Animal. If you guys are like me and started following bodybuilding and getting bodybuilding magazines around the same time I did when I was in high school, probably around 2010, 2011, Frank McGrath was in all those Animal ads. I had those Animal, posters hanging up in my basement gym at my parents' house. And Frank was just basically the face of Animal, the bodybuilding side of Animal. So recently on Animal's YouTube channel, they posted a video of Frank, but it was kind of vague. It was titled Frank Rath McGrath, Iconic Farewell. And the video really didn't explain the fact that he was actually leaving Animal. It really didn't say, what the farewell was all about. It was just kind of a tribute to Frank and left a lot of people confused. So I actually did reach out to Frank just to ask him if he was in fact done with Animal and if this meant he was leaving Animal. And he did say, yes, he's done. But he didn't give me a specific reason why or what the reasoning for it was. And I respect that. And then Frank put up this longer post on Instagram, which said, I started this journey not knowing where it was going, turning pro at a young age and signing with one of the biggest companies out there at Animal Pack, traveling the world, meeting all you guys at the expos. It's been a hell of a ride. I want to thank all of you and Animal for sticking by my side in the good and the bad, but it's time to move on, and myself and Animal are parting ways. But not to worry, the Wrath is here to stay. I have a lot of new projects in the works that will be out in the new year, and I can't wait for you guys to see and be a part of it all. Thank you, Animal, for the memories and for the opportunity to live my dreams. Animal will always feel like home. So I don't really think there's any kind of, dramatic reason why Frank is leaving Animal. I think it's probably a pretty amicable split. Animal posted the tribute to Frank. Frank posted this kind of thank you post to Animal. I think what it really boils down to is Frank is going to be working on some things in the coming years that maybe, he can't be tied down to a supplement label when he's doing that. There's been some rumblings that he might be making a comeback in the near future. Maybe he's starting his own company. Who knows? But whatever Frank does decide to do, I want to wish him the best of luck. I really look forward to seeing maybe a potential comeback from Frank. I think that would be awesome to see. But at the same time, of course, it's sad to see Frank split from Animal. Obviously, this very iconic supplement company and a very iconic partnership between the two. Like I said, I had all the posters hanging in my basement gym. I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys associated Animal as a supplement company with those black and white images of Frank McGrath. But like I said, we wish him the best, and I'm sure he's going to be successful at whatever he decides to pursue in the near future. But again, if you're watching this, hopefully it's a comeback. We really want to see that comeback, man. So best of luck to you, bro. All right, so the next story is going to be kind of a segue into the 2019 Olympia qualified competitors list. So Big Ramy posted a photo from him in his Olympia prep in his hotel room before going on stage at the Olympia. Obviously, an extremely impressive photo here. He looks really, really good. His conditioning actually looks good in this photo, and he looks better than he looked on stage. And a lot of people were sending this to me and saying, well, if he looked this good in his hotel room prior to going on stage at the Olympia, why didn't he look like that when he actually got to the Olympia stage? Why didn't he look this good in comparison to the other guys? Why didn't he place well? And I think the answer to that question is a pretty simple one. I think we all know that one of the biggest factors in looking good in fitness and bodybuilding has a lot to do with lighting and angles. And obviously, this is one of the most ideal lighting situations. We've all taken a photo like this, kind of a side photo where that lighting is hitting you from the side, coming through an open window and creating those shadows on your physique. So, of course, he's going to look impressive in that lighting. And make no mistake, even though his conditioning was off at the Olympia, Big Ramy still has an incredibly impressive physique. So under the right lighting, it's going to look insane like it looks in this photo. But I do want to give Big Ramy credit here for the caption that he put on this photo, which I think a lot of professional bodybuilders could learn from. Be open to criticism and keep learning. That's a great sentiment by Big Ramy, and I could not agree more with a pro bodybuilder having that attitude. All right, so the next topic I have for you guys is the official list of qualified competitors so far for the 2019 Mr. Olympia. Now that 2018 is wrapping up, there are no more opportunities in 2018 to qualify for the 2019 Mr. Olympia, although there will be plenty in 2019. So I just wanted to give you guys the official list as of the end of 2018 for next year's Mr. Olympia. So qualified so far for next year's Olympia Sean Roden, obviously, who won the Olympia. Phil Heath, obviously 7-time champion, took second at the Olympia. Rolly Winkler, William Bonac, Brandon Curry. Now, the top 5 from the Olympia each year automatically qualifies for next year. Since Big Ramy was not in the top 5, that's why you don't see him on this qualified competitors list. You do see Dexter Jackson, who was also not in the top 5. And the reason that Dexter Jackson is in there is I believe that if you've won the Olympia, you are qualified to compete at the Olympia for life. So that's why you see Dexter on this list, but not Ramy. So you also have Clarence de Vries from Belgium and Max Charles, who qualified recently by winning that Bulgarian Pro Show, I believe it was called, towards the end of this year. So Max Charles, I believe, was the most recent guy to qualify. Then currently, the top 3 in the point standings, and this is likely to change as we get into the 2019 bodybuilding season. So we have Nathan Diasha with 8 points, Lucas Osadil with 7 points, and Pavel Baron with 6 points. So I think the main thing to consider with this list are the names that are not there, specifically the 2 biggest names you don't see, Kai Green and Big Ramy. And I think a lot of the names that will be added to this list we will see happen soonest at the 2019 Arnold Classic. Now, the next story is kind of a controversial one, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will be watching this tonight. UFC 232 is happening tonight. John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. So this is going to be an interesting fight, but the main story coming out of this fight is the fact that the fight was moved from Vegas to California, and the reason for the move was John Jones essentially had a positive drug test. So there's a lot of science that goes into this finding and goes into the explanation of why the UFC allowed John Jones to fight. But in layman's terms, I'll break it down for you. If you guys want to see Joe Rogan's podcast he did with Jeff Nowitzki, they did a great maybe 40-minute segment explaining the science on this. But a quick summary would be the initial substance that John Jones tested positive for back in 2017, regardless of how it got there, turinabol, essentially it has these residual metabolites, long-term, short-term, and mid-term. And the most recent drug test that showed positive for one of these metabolites was on December 9th. And that drug test showed a long-term metabolite. And essentially the scientific reason behind this that the UFC gives for clearing John Jones to fight was that these metabolites can come and go in waves. And they could be picked up on some drug tests, but not others. And it could stay in John Jones's system for as long as, I believe they said like 7 years or something crazy like that. Now, the amount that was detected was on a picogram level, so one of the smallest possible detectable levels of this metabolite. And they also reason that science shows that this level of, finding would not help John Jones's performance at all. Now, the other reason they gave for clearing John Jones to fight is that it was the fact that it was this long-term metabolite that popped up. Had it been a short-term or mid-term metabolite, that would mean that he recently ingested the substance again. It would mean he had re-ingested it very, very recently for this fight. The fact that they only detected long-term showed that it had to be, or was very likely, just the residual of that original ingestion of turinabol, and it's just coming in waves years after the fact, or over a year after the fact of the original ingestion. So they're saying, while yes, he did have a positive drug test, it wasn't the result of a new ingestion of drugs. So that's what the UFC is saying. That's the reason they're giving for John Jones being allowed to fight. And this has caused a lot of controversy because some people believe it's kind of a double standard. And they say, a failed drug test or a positive drug test is a failed drug test. It is what it is. There's an illegal substance, a banned substance in his system. Therefore, he should not be allowed to fight. People say it should not matter the amount. It should not matter long-term, short-term, whatever. If there is a banned substance, it's detected before a fight, that fighter should not be allowed to fight, is what a lot of the controversy is stemming from, kind of a double standard coming out of this. And that's essentially my understanding of why the fight had to be moved from Las Vegas to California, is because Nevada recognized it as a positive drug test and would not sanction the fight. So they had to move it somewhere that would. Now, the other side of the coin is people think it's stupid that this argument would have even came up and that this small of a level would even be a concern that it would be tested for if it's already proven that it wouldn't help John Jones. If it is so certain that it didn't mean he re-ingested it, why are they even testing down to a level that would pick up something like this that could just be this residual leftover year and a half later wave of some metabolite? Now, personally, I don't believe Jon Jones took any form of performance-enhancing substance leading up to this fight. I think you would have to be probably the biggest idiot in the world to, fail that drug test back in 2017 and do it again when you're given this redemption fight. So I actually do 100% believe what the UFC is saying about this being this residual metabolite, just a result of something he took a year ago. But what I think is kind of a gray area is, okay, even if it's something he took a year ago and not something he took for this fight, how should that be handled? A banned substance is in his system. It was tested positive for. What is the standard for letting him fight or not? Regardless of why it's there, how it's there, the fact of the matter does remain that it is there. So I'll let you guys decide that in the comment section below. I want to hear what you guys have to say on the Jon Jones topic. Should he or should he not have been allowed to fight in the UFC 232 fight tonight, which I will be watching, of course. All right, so the final story that I have for you guys is the Redcon 1 Readiness trials have officially began. So essentially what this is Redcon 1 is giving away $50,000 essentially to the most impressive transformation that they have enter this contest. So the competition window is from yesterday, December 28th, until January 14th to purchase your entry ticket and then submit your entry photos or your before photos. It's $50 to enter, and then you have 12 weeks to train, eat healthy, and then transform your body, and then you will submit your after photos. And then also, every week for that 12-week period, they're giving away $1,000 worth of prizes week by week. And then once the 12 weeks is up, you'll submit your final photo. So big opportunity here to win $50,000 if you want to transform your body. A lot of people are already doing, New Year's resolutions type of transformations. It might be worth your while to go ahead and enter this competition and see if you can win, 50 grand. So that's the video for today, guys. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.